Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm your host, Captain Mike, and I'm really excited about this video because I'm enough of a nerd that to share with you the updated for 2024 list of the 50 greatest books of all time. It gets me revved up. I came across this list of the greatest books of all time initially back in 2022, and I decided to read all 50 and review these books on YouTube in 2023, and I did. Links to those in the description below or in my channel. Feel free to check those out. Really late last year, I was wondering how often does this list get updated, because it has to be somewhat of a living list. And I had a viewer about a week or so ago tell me the list had been updated, and I was pretty excited. So I got the books that I didn't already have. So now I have the list to change to the 50 greatest books of all time, 2024 edition, and I just want to share those updates with you. And if you're asking yourself, who has the balls to say that they have the definitive list of the greatest books of all time? I'll tell you, it's Shane. Shane has an algorithm that he made or he acquired, and this algorithm, he feeds into it information from quite a few lists of the greatest books. And I believe there's 130 plus lists that he uses. He takes these lists and he weights them for authoritativeness. And then the algorithm looks into the list and sees what books are in the list, how many lists do these books reappear on, and what position are they in each list. And then it uses that information to generate a list of the greatest books of all time. And this list is quite a few books long. Now we're just going to go through the top 50. And I know also what you're thinking. It's because I think the same thing. If I made a list of Captain Mike's top 50 greatest books of all time, it would look different than your list of the 50 greatest books of all time, which looks different than this list of the 50 greatest books of all time. But I think this is a relatively objective list, and it's pretty good. There's a few books on here that, as I read them, I was like, I don't know why it's on the list. And some of them I didn't really enjoy the read, but I understand why they're on the list. So let's go ahead and remove the books that are off the list, got bumped off for this year, which ones were added to the list, and rearrange them into what order they are now. And then let's go through them pretty briefly. Let's go. Okay, there we go. I present to you the 50 greatest books of all time, 2024 edition. Let's go through the 6 books that were removed from the list and then get it. The first one that was removed was A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. This went from number 49 to number 57, and I'm sad about that. Next book, The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. This went from number 47 to 55. I'm not sad about that. Didn't enjoy that read. Tristram Shandy went from 46 to number 51. Yeah, I'm glad it's off the list. This one I was sad about. I wanted to like this one so bad. Jorge Luis Borges, Collected Fictions. This went from 43 to 56. Didn't appreciate that one. Number 42, The Aeneid of Virgil. This sailed all the way to spot 52. I like this read. It's a good primer before you read Dante or Homer. And I'm so happy about this one. This book fell all the way from number 8, 79 spots, to number 87, Hamlet by William Shakespeare. I did not enjoy this read at all, and glad to see it off the list of the top 50. All right, guys, we're gonna count down from 50 to number 1 and go through all these books very briefly, one at a time. And I'm really excited about this. Number 50, Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I read another Hemingway last year, and I committed to read more this year, and I had already bought this book. I bought this one specifically for two reasons. First of all, I like Metallica, and second of all, the main character in this book is Robert Jordan. And one of my favorite series of all time is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, which is of course a pen name, but I didn't realize this main character was also Robert Jordan, probably taken from that. I mean, the Robert Jordan of The Wheel of Time probably took his inspiration from here. I don't know, but if he liked this book, I'm hoping I'm gonna like it too. Number 49, Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. I don't know anything about this book. It's a new addition to the list. Number 48, Candide by Voltaire. Also a new addition to the list. I don't know anything about this book at all, other than in the classics that I read last year. It kind of seems that if you're a religious person, you look down on those who read Voltaire or just in Voltaire in general. Number 47, I'm excited about this one. Lord of the Rings. I only have Return of the King up here because my kids stole all my other copies of the Lord of the Rings books. I did order another set, just got it in the mail a couple days ago. But Lord of the Rings, number 47. Number 46, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. I did not know that I like poetry, but I do. And this was up one spot from 47. Number 45, this book I'm really excited about. It was not on the list at all last year. It was in the top, it was in the 51 to 100 list. And this was the 51st book that I read, because I read 52 books in 52 weeks. So I added 2 books. One of them was picked by my wife, and it was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And this year's number 45. That was a fantastic read. So I'm not going to read and review that one this year because I already did it last year. 44, The Stories of Anton Chekhov. I think that is a pretty good book, and it moved from, dropped five spots from number 39. The Red and the Black by Stendhal. This also dropped 9 points from 34. Okay, number 42, my other Hemingway, The Sun Also Rises. This moved up 2 spots, and I thought it was great. Number 41, David Copperfield. And he moved up 4 spots, and I'll tell you what, I am in love with David Copperfield. Number 40, Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. She fell a couple spots from 38. Initially, I struggled with this read, but I turned out to really enjoy that book. 39, Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. This was the first book that I read last year, and he made a big move from up 11 spots to 39 from 50, and I struggled with that read quite a bit. I just couldn't relate, didn't appreciate it. If it's for you, great. For me, I struggle with that one. 38, Jane Eyre, My Love, moved up 2 spots. I'm in love with Jane Eyre. 37, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And this one bumped down 1 spot from 36. Great read. 36, 1001, Arabian Nights. What a fantastic read. And this dropped 8 spots. I can't believe that, from 28. I didn't know what to expect from that book at all. Didn't know anything about it. And this is, I feel like it's almost like a kid's version. I would really enjoy reading maybe a more adult-ish complete version of 1001 Arabian Nights. If you have read one of those and you have a recommendation for a translator or a specific book, feel free to drop those in the comments below. I would appreciate that. Number 35, Middlemarch by George Eliot. Stayed right where it was at in 2023. And this was a book, I just read it and was done with it. I didn't feel good or bad. I just read it, no emotion. It's just a study of provincial life. Not really for me. Number 34, The Stranger by Albert Camus. Really short read, and it moved up 6 spots from number 40. 33, another Charles Dickens, Great Expectations. I didn't enjoy this read as much as I enjoyed David Copperfield, but I do think it is a great book, and it actually fell 6 spots from 27. Number 32, don't get me started on William Faulkner, Absalom. But he fell 2 spots, and I'm glad. Number 31, The Trial by Franz Kafka. I really wanted to like this book, and I had a very difficult time. And he moved up 2 spots. And I did actually buy Metamorphosis, and I'm going to read and review that this year. Number 30, Beloved by Toni Morrison. Made a nice jump from 37 to number 30, and that's well deserved. As I said in my review, as a white male born in the early 70s in South Carolina, I could go into a bookstore 1,000 times and not buy Beloved by Toni Morrison. And that's a shame, because this is a book that deserves to be read, and you should read it. Number 29, another Virginia Woolf, To the Lighthouse. And this fell 7 spots. I'm not happy about that because I did enjoy that read. Number 28, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Are you kidding me? Moved up 4 spots from 32, and it maybe should have moved more. I can't believe I didn't read this book before, and I thoroughly enjoyed that book. Number 27, Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. It gained 4 spots, and I struggled with that book big time. Grapes of Wrath by Jonathan Steinbeck. What a story. Went up 3 spots. 25, another Faulkner, The Sound and the Fury. It didn't move. It was number 25 last year, and it's 25 this year. Now Homer, he didn't get any love this year. Both his books fell. The Iliad fell 3 spots to number 24. Okay, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy fell 4 spots to number 23. I didn't know what to expect when I read Anna Karenina. I had talked to a coworker who thought it was the worst book ever. I've talked to a couple of people like that, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading Anna Karenina. Number 22, Catch 22 by Joseph Heller. He jumped a spot from 23. That was a pretty good read. I did try and read that earlier in my life, couldn't make it through it. Read it last year, thoroughly enjoyed that. 21, 1984 by George Orwell. What a book, gained 5 spots from 26, well deserved. 20, Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. This novella, it a 4 spot jump to number 20. 19, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and it took a 5 spot drop from 14. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is number 18 by Mark Twain, and it held its ground at number 18. That was such a good read. I don't think I'd ever read it before. Read Tom Sawyer, but not Huckleberry Finn. Number 17, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And it switched places with Pride and Prejudice at spot number 14. So right now it's number 17. The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. That is number 16. And it dropped less than Crime and Punishment. But I actually enjoyed reading Crime and Punishment more than I enjoyed The Brothers Karamazov. But it fell 3 spots. Number 15. We have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And it jumped over Wuthering Heights, and deservedly so. I enjoyed Pride and Prejudice much more than Wuthering Heights. Number 14, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Jumped 6 spots from number 20. At number 13, we have Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. And it fell 3 spots out of the top 10 to number 13. The other Homer, The Odyssey, also dropped this year out of the top 10, fell 3 spots to number 12. The Divine Comedy by Dante, it was number 11 last year, it's number 11 this year. Just can't quite get into that top 10. Here we are, into the top 10 now. And number 10, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I'd never read this book, and it was so good, it jumped 6 spots to make it to number 10. Number 9, also new entry into the top 10, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Moved up 3 spots. I thought that was a fantastic read. Okay, we have another new entry into the top 50, and it moved all the way into the top 10 greatest books of all time. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised this book wasn't in the in the top 50 last year. It should always be in there because it's got to be the most printed book. It's been printed billions of times. The Bible came out of nowhere all the way to number 8. Despite what you think about the Bible, I think it deserves to be there. Is there any more important book that we've ever had? I mean, when people were learning how to read, the first book printed, I don't know if it was the first book printed, but it was the first book, really distributed and widely known. I think it is deservedly supposed to be in the top 10 greatest books of all time. Well done, Jesus. All right, books 7 through 3, those are all the same exact as last year. They didn't move at all. At number 7, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. What a great book. I did enjoy that read. Moby Dick, I think it's a fantastic story if you can wade through all the muckety muck to get to the story. I think underlying the story, I think is great, but do I care about the rope types, etc.? Not necessarily, but it's worth wading through all those. So number 6. Number 5, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. What a dreamy, nice read. Man, it's like the opposite of Hemingway. I just really enjoyed The Great Gatsby. Number 4, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. Number 4 last year, number 4 now as well. Perhaps not my cup of tea. I did like some parts of it, and it was an okay read. Number 4, greatest books of all time. I don't know. I know a lot of people really love that book, and it was okay. But number 3, and I was worried about this book all year long. I had read a couple reviews that really dogged this book. Some people were like, okay, here's the 10 classics you don't need to read. And one of them is Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. And I tell you what, it was a revelation. I really enjoyed Don Quixote. Maybe I could have done with just book 1 and just taken book 2 and not read it, but I think all in all, it was a really nice read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think you should too. Now in the top 2 greatest books of all time, and they're the same 2 books as last year, but they switched places. Now we have in number 2, In Search of Lost Time, Swan's Way by Marcel Proust. And it lost the top spot, number 1, bumped down to number 2, and that is definitely not my cup of tea. I read it. I'm not reading the entire series. I just read Swan's Way, and man, if you want to know really what I think about it, feel free to watch my review. And the number 1 greatest book of all time, as determined by an algorithm for 2024, is Ulysses by James Joyce. And I can't tell you exactly how I feel about this in English, in words that aren't swear words, because I read this book, and I read the entire book last year, and I don't know why it's on this list at all. I didn't appreciate this list. It's my lowest rated book from 2023. I didn't like this at all. I don't get it. I like this book even less than I like Faulkner, and that's saying quite a bit. I'd rather read Midnight's Children again than read Ulysses by James Joyce again. It's unbelievable to me that this is number 1 greatest book of all time. But it does perhaps show you what I know exactly. I'm just a dude who likes to read books. I'm not really trained in literary arts. I'm not a literary head. I'm not a professor. I'm just a guy who likes to read books. Having said that, we have 6 new books to the list this year, and I've committed as we go forward, each time the list is updated the following year, I'll just read those books and review those ones. Now the Bible, I'm not actually going to read and review this year. I have read it multiple times, and for those eagle-eyed viewers out there, you will notice that this is in Spanish. It's La Santa Biblia, because I used to be Mormon. I served a mission in Argentina, and so this is my Bible from when I was in Argentina 30 plus years ago. I actually don't think I have an English Bible that's just a Bible by itself here in my house currently. I am going to read and review the Book of Mormon this year. That'll be later this year. instead of the Bible. So of the other books that were added to the list, Frankenstein, I'm not going to read and review because I did last year, but I'm definitely going to read the other 5 books that were added. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Things Fall Apart, Candide, The Lord of the Rings, and what was the other one that was added? That's it. So I will read and review those this year as it goes along. I'm pretty excited about this, my reading schedule this year. Last year I kind of read this hugely curated list of the greatest books of all time. So I'm really excited this year to be able to read more of the books, perhaps that I really enjoy reading. Things that are perhaps not classics like these, talking about Wheel of Time, Dune, books like these, Book of Mormon. I have some really great stuff I'm looking forward to coming this year. My question for you is, have you read any of these books? Have you read any of the new ones? What are your thoughts on them? What are your thoughts on the list? Now, and this list is generated at thegreatestbooks.org. Feel free to go check it out and see what he's got going on. Shane is the man over there, so go ahead and give him some love. And last year I did 52 book reviews. This year I'm planning only 36, a little lighter reading schedule this year. It's just taking so much time to read, script, film, and edit, then publish on YouTube. So 36 book reviews, and I'm doing some head-to-head reviews this year. I think I'm gonna have some books that I'm like, this book versus this book, and which one do I prefer? Do you guys like, videos like that and content where we're comparing books to each other? I like things like that. And I'm wondering, what is your reading list for this year? How many books are you planning on reading? Do you have a favorite book? What's your greatest book of all time? And what book are you most excited to read this year? Honestly, one of my most excited books that I'm most excited about reading this year is Dune by Frank Herbert. I'm gonna read the first 3 of that series. It's one that I've read since high school many times, and I really thoroughly enjoy those. I'm gonna read Shibumi by Trevian. I saw that on Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. If you haven't seen that movie, I think you should watch it. It's a pretty good book, or a pretty good movie, and I saw one of the characters reading this book, and I went ahead and ordered it off Amazon, and I'm gonna read it. So, all right, my guys. Again, Captain Mike, I do book and whiskey reviews. Feel free to check those out in my channel if you're interested in those sort of things. If you've enjoyed this video, like it is free, subscribe to see more of my content. And for now, my friends, you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good and drinking something great. Turn the page and stay thirsty. Cheers.